Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is my very first live stream and I am very excited. I'll tell you why. Hey Nick, what's going on? Owen, thanks for checking in. And also thank you to my brand new sponsor, EV Annex, not just for sponsoring this video, but sponsoring the entire channel. But the reason I'm excited is this. I've been doing my Sunday videos, they're electric car news videos, and I've been really having a tough time trying to jam all the news, from the entire week in just 15 minutes. It's been growing and growing, and I feel like I'm rushing through it. So I figured, there's so many news coming out almost every day. Why don't I just do a quick 10-15 minute live video every day? That way I can tell you guys about the news that are happening right away. And also I have to admit that I think like one of the best things about making these videos is also checking out, for me, is checking out the comment section. And almost every time when I look at the comment section, there's somebody pointing something out or saying something new that I didn't know about the very topic that I was making the video about. And then I just love the discussions that we have in the comment section. So I figured, that would be really cool to just have this interaction live. Now, if you're watching this in the replay, welcome as well. You can still post comments, but don't forget to join me live the next day. I'll try to make it consistent so we can talk about the news as they happen. And so this day is no different. There's a few things that are happening, and one I want to start with something that I thought I kind of neglected. And which is a news about the Jaguar I-Pace. They've announced that they're going to come up with it, and it should be out this time next year on the road. And it's actually a very decent car, and it's been actually spotted in London a few times, and last week it was spotted in Hungary being tested by this company, by this publication company called HVG. And this is the picture that you see right here. I'm still pointing in the wrong direction, am I? All right. Well, the picture that you see right next to me, that's the one. So they've spotted it. As you can see on the front of it, it's got a bunch of sensors, which led people to believe that this car is going to have a self-driving capability. I don't know why people would think that it wouldn't, but at least this looks like they're testing it. And it's been a really exciting 2 months, as on the Frankfurt show and now in the Tokyo show. All these companies, except for Toyota and Ford, really announcing this electric cars, and the game on, right? Tesla has finally dragged the entire industry out and made them actually make this step forward. And these are the car manufacturers that probably will compete pretty hard against Tesla in just 1 year. And this is a pretty decent car. Let me show you the concept picture. This is the Jaguar I-Pace. It's going to have a very decent range, 220 miles. They're saying 0 to 60 miles an hour in about 4 seconds. I don't know what about 4 seconds means, but it's still pretty impressive, even if it's 4.9, because it is an SUV. So I'm actually kind of, I should have kept my eye on this a little bit closer, and that's what I'm going to do from now on. So that's something that's been exciting, that they're actually testing the actual car around Europe. The other thing that actually came out was 2 weeks ago in Tokyo. Honda announced in the Frankfurt show that they're going to come up with this little car that looks like a cute little frog, and I mean it in a good way. And this one is the urban EV. They kind of didn't really say the plan, the schedule, and all that stuff. And at the Tokyo show just last week, they also said it's going to have a little sister car, which is the Coupe, the sports Coupe EV. And they also announced pretty much no plans. Well, the thing is that today, or at least this week, they said, you know what? This particular car, the urban EV, we are going to commit to putting it on the road in 2019, and that's now realistic. And by the way, let me just talk about the looks of this car. It's it kind of reminds me of, remember when Apple came out with an iMac that was all colorful and everything looked like a toy? There's something to it because, you know, it turned Apple around, and this could be something that turns Honda into this electric car path because they've been kind of behind. Let's be honest about it. And hey, do you know what's going on, man? It's good to see you in the chat. And I'm hoping this is something that's going to happen with Honda. Now they're saying they're going to change the look around a little bit, but not too much. And I really hope they stay this way because this kind of looks like a second generation car, and I like it. And I think the coupe looks kind of cool as well. So I hope they go with it and lead the way. Now here's the problem. They're saying they're going to put it on road in Europe in 2019. However, they're saying this may never make it here in the United States. I think it's too early to tell. I think if they're going to do well in that market and they'll see other cars doing well in the US market, they'll still end up bringing it over. But the only reason I've heard they were saying that they don't want to bring it to the US is because of the smaller size. And I can't imagine that being the case. I mean, here in San Francisco, people will die to get a smaller car, you know, just because of parking and the space. And I think this is a problem in a lot of cities. So I like it, and I think kudos to Jaguar, kudos to Honda to finally putting the cars on the road. Well, in case of Honda, in a couple of years. One more thing I wanted to talk about, and it's Norway, little country in Europe. Here it is on the map, and the electric car, plug-in electric car sales there have been absolutely skyrocketing. If you haven't heard, but Norway has been kind of leading the way. Now, their sales numbers, just how many cars they've sold, is actually a third place. You know, the only other two countries that sold more cars than obviously China and the United States. But Norway is above everybody else, above Germany, France, UK, Canada. So it's pretty impressive. And not only that, see this 32%, that's the percentage of all cars sold this year, 2017, of EVs, plug-in EVs. I'm kind of thinking, and that's by far more than any other country as far as percentage is concerned. So yes, Owen, Norway is in Europe. I knew I needed to show the map for you Americans to make sure you know where the Europe is. All right, yes, Norway is in Europe, and you know they are kind of becoming a guinea pigs, right, of what a country that's leading the way of this movement is going to be, right? The infrastructure, the other products that are going to be circling around that industry, right? Hopefully self-driving laws and regulations and so forth. And you know, a lot of European countries already committed to basically outlawing, I don't know if it's a word, but you won't be able to buy a gas car in Europe by about 2030 or even 2040. I know it's a ways away, but the fact that they're thinking about it, it's a good sign. So at least we all know where this is going. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, as you can see, it's up north there. So that means that the battery technology is challenging because, you know, in cold weather, the batteries don't go as far, and it's longer to charge. It's interesting so that it's that country that's embracing electric cars the most. So it is it's quite exciting. I'm gonna also try to keep my closer eye on Norway and see what happens there. Dino says beautiful Honda. All right, I'll take that. I'm not sure if it's beautiful, but I think it's cute, if you will. I know I compared it to a frog, and but I like frogs, just, you know, context. And yes, Bini Draw says you'll be seeing cars like this casually around in 2020. Okay, so maybe not in 2020. Probably we're talking about 2025. But in 2020, we will definitely see cars that are not just Teslas, because here in Silicon Valley, a lot of Teslas, but also cars that are not ugly electric cars. They're just going to look like regular cars. As you can see, Jaguar looks like a regular Jaguar. Let me bring up the picture again. I thought it looks pretty decent, like just any other car. Here it is again. So you know, 2020 is a little bit optimistic, but that's where I think it starts. Because most companies are promising their first EVs, real EVs with a real range by 2020. Rob Carr says in Australia we have Tesla Model S and Nissan Leaf over here and superchargers in Australia. You know, superchargers are almost pretty much everywhere. I was talking to somebody who was telling me that there are none in Hawaii, but I'm sure that's not true. And obviously Australia is getting big benefits from Tesla because they're installing one of the biggest, actually the biggest battery farms to solve your rolling blackout problems in the South. And you mentioned Nissan Leaf. You know, as you know, I've become a bit of a fan with their longer range and a better, or I should say, less uglier look. No, actually, you know what? I'm going to take it back. I like the way it looks, and so it's I'm rooting for it as well. I actually seen a couple of them already here on the road driving, so I'm excited. Benidro says, I'm wondering how long it'll take to become mainstream in Australia. All I've seen are Toyotas and very rarely Teslas. Well, you know, Toyota is very much behind in their electric cars in general technology. As a matter of fact, I just did a video where they pretty much gamble on hydrogen fuel cells, and now realizing that Elon Musk was right and that wasn't the way to go. And they are kind of trying to catch up with the rest of the companies. It could be a little too late. They might end up having to buy one of the startups to catch up. But Toyota is no way anywhere in the front of this sort of revolution. They're kind of on the back. But you will see more and more Teslas everywhere. I mean, it's, you know, they're cranking them out as soon as they can, as fast as they can, I should say. So would we say that this jack is an answer to Model S? No, I would say it's an answer to both Model S and Model X, because, you know, the I-Pace is, you know, a crossover SUV. So, and I believe it will start also around 70,000+, so it will be relatively affordable in that market. So I think that's what they're going to compete with. But don't forget, the one thing that all these cars do not have is the infrastructure, right? Tesla has the infrastructure, and no matter what car I'm going to compare Teslas to, until they figure it out, they will always be behind, because you can't take a really long trip without being stuck somewhere for a long time. And if you're maybe in sales or do real estate or whatever, and you have to drive around a lot, you know, 150 to 100 miles may just not be enough for you on a busy day. So Tesla will have you know, definitely an advantage for quite a while. Sounds like the Trump effect. I don't know. Hybrids are a transition. Yes, hybrids are a transition. I have to tell you, my parents were, they like many people thought I was crazy buying an electric car back in 2012. But they did buy a hybrid because, you know, my parents are much older. Actually, my dad is 88. So to sell a new concept to people is really hard, right? Like I couldn't convince my dad to buy an electric car. I probably never will. But because he kind of understands the gas technology, right? Gas-powered cars, he was okay with getting a car where you still have to put gas in it. And as far as he's concerned, there's just more magic going on inside of it, even though it's hybrid. So I think that's actually was a great idea to have hybrid cars. I mean, you'll still see a lot of them, as all these companies are committing to electrifying their fleets. Those car fleets are not going to be full electric. A lot of them are going to be hybrids, and it's going to be a challenge for bigger cars, SUVs and trucks, right? So that technology is here to stay for at least a decade. Well, I don't want to predict decade, but 5 years for sure, as companies are transitioning. All right, well, oh, hi from New York, FB Diesel. As a matter of fact, where are you guys from? I'm just wondering, where's everyone watching me from? And I know this is from what I see, the subscribers to my channel kind of come from all over the place, and I can even better track some people in my Tesla Model S Facebook group, and I see every time when I prove people, I see where they're coming from, and it's literally all over the place. Chicago, Thailand, that's right, Nick. So in India, you know what? I have to say that I know they don't have infrastructure yet, and maybe even laws and roads that are really necessary for major manufacturer to kind of move in there. But I have to say the interest that I see from India is quite high. Don't forget that India is also a source of a lot of high-tech professionals, and high-tech industry is booming in there. So I think they are very much ready in their hearts. They just need to get their government and infrastructure in place in order for that to happen. So I see a lot of people from there. Our living room, my girlfriend says, who's watching right next door. All right, fair enough. All right, guys. So I'm gonna wrap it up in a second because I'm gonna go live every day, Monday through Friday this week, and definitely next week, and see how it works out. Because there will be more news tomorrow. It's something to talk about. So thank you for joining me. For those of you guys who are in the chat room right now, if you're going to watch it if you're watching it in the replay, definitely leave a comment about anything that we talked about. But stay tuned, and hopefully you can join me tomorrow around the same time. I'll post it on the homepage of my channel, and we can talk more electric cars. So thank you for joining me. I will see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.